What's up YouTube? Capital G here doing another episode of Trash or Treasure, and this time we are looking at a super obscure card called Mystical Fairy Elfuria. You guys have probably heard about this if you've been watching market watches over the last week because she has definitely spiked in price. I'm talking this card's original market price was $3.58 and she's basically $10 over that. So she's kind of an older card. She's a few years old from Cosmo Blazer. Secret Rare has not been reprinted. Obviously that has to do a little bit with her current market price, but she's a wind spellcaster, level 3, 1500 attack, 900 defense, and her effect reads as follows for those of you who may not just be, you just might not be familiar with the card. Once per turn, you can reveal one wind monster in your hand until your opponent's next end phase. Neither player can exceed summon using monsters with a different level than the revealed monster as exceed materials. So you can actually use things like Exceed Reborn, you just can't use materials to go into Exceeds other than the monster or other than the level of the monster that was actually used. So this is one of those cards where if you just kind of look at it on paper, you're just like, why the freak is this card up? Like, how is it useful in the meta? And the reason why this card is actually being played is because of the Ties of the Brethren Magispectors. That card has been incredibly beneficial to Magispectors because it makes their openings a lot more consistent. It makes them a lot less reliant on having pendulum scales to kind of do things and to get their monsters going. We know that Ties of the Brethren works excellent with, like, especially the level 4s, because you can normal summon Toad and then you can just, summon like Fox and Yada from the deck or whatever. But what Ties of the Brethren does now is it actually makes Mystical Fairy Elfuria a very viable option in the main deck because you don't technically have to draw her to get her out. We know that Magispectors have a couple of level 3s and Magispector Cat, and obviously Bumbunku is, probably the most important Magispector, but you can actually normal summon any one of these and then you can activate Ties of the Brethren and then you can summon the other copies straight from the deck. So this is a card that you do not have to run multiple copies for her to actually be, for her to basically be beneficial. But why are people using this card? Why is it seeing play? So it's basically seeing play because if you can get it out turn 1, it puts a lot of decks that want to use the Exceed Summon in a very, very bad situation, especially if you can actually reveal a copy of something like Kirin, because how many decks in the game, are kind of like rank 6 based? I mean, the only deck that I can think of that even inherently goes for like 6s would be something like the Herald deck where they run like Ben 10, that's a 6, Herald is a 6, and a lot of the rituals in that deck are like level 6s. So ideally, if you can use this, or it doesn't even have to be something like Kirin, if you know that you're playing against Burning Abyss and you get Elfuria on the field, if you reveal any of these 4s, they're not going to be able to go into any of the Dantes or any of the plays that they just want to go to. If they want to go for like Break Sword or anything like that, that's just completely locked out. And we know a deck like ABC, currently the best deck in the game, the most popular deck in the game, if ABC can't go into a rank 4 during their first turn because you revealed like a Raccoon in your hand, or you revealed another copy of Cat, or you revealed a Corinne, thus they would be locked in the rank 3s or rank 4s. ABC is really not doing that much. Like, it doesn't matter how many ABCs that they have, a lot of times they won't be able to get them into the graveyard, so they won't be able to summon Buster Dragon. The reason that ABCs can consistently get the ABC Buster Dragon on the field turn 1 is because of things like Tsukuyomi, is because of other Exceeds like Castell that can put multiple cards in the graveyard at once. But if they just can't go into those, then that dragon is not hitting the field. And another reason that I really like Elfuria is it seems like she takes the pressure off of the other Magispectors. One of the ways that people love to try and beat Magispectors is by cracking the pendulum scales and then pretty much just going after the Magispectors in battle because they don't have a lot of attacks. But you pretty much have to make this chick your priority if you're the opposing player, because if you don't kill her, she's basically just going to keep activating her effect over and over again, and you're never going to be able to go in your extra deck. And now we're pretty much seeing with the artifacts popping up and those becoming more popular, well, mainly Scythe, and then Dimension Barrier, which is going to be released, which a lot of people in the OCG are just, they're playing that card in triples, man. It's an amazing card. You're starting to see this format that locking your opponent out of their extra deck for one turn can just have a profound impact on the game, especially if you're playing against an Exceed only deck. If you're playing against Serteller Knights or Burning Abyss Phantom Knights, or if you're playing against Paleozoic where everything is ranked 2, if these decks cannot go to their extra deck, they're going to have a tough time getting over your monsters. And this chick is actually 1500, so she's not the easiest thing to take down. And this is made even harder by the fact that she can actually be used with a lot of the Magic Spectre spells and traps. So it never really feels that she's completely vulnerable, because if your opponent opens and they've got like 3 or 4 back row, if you attack straight into her and you think, I'm just going to run her over and I'm going to basically stop her from being able to activate multiple times, you're not going to get any value out of her. Like, don't think that's so fast, because she can be used for things like Magic Spectre Tornado. She can be used with Magic Spectre Cyclone. You can use her with Tempest, which can negate something before your turn even really gets started. So she actually has a lot of synergy in Magic Spectres. And I think one of the reasons that I like this card so much in Magic Spectres right now is not just because it makes something like Ties of the Brethren much more consistent, because as of right now, you really can only use Ties with like your level 4s, but now you can use it with your level 3s, and you don't have to worry about the whole being, you know, her downside, which it kind of locks you into only being able to go into, you know, odd levels. Like if you show the Karen, then you can only go into level 6s, because off of Ties of the Brethren, you can't exceed during that turn anyways. And let's just be real, Magic Spectres don't do a whole lot of exceeding anyways. But one of the reasons that I like her is she just kind of has a lot of natural synergy in the deck. You can use her with these cards. You can pendulum summon her. If you aren't going to use her effect, you can actually use her to go into something like Totem Bird. And the best thing is you only have to run 1 copy of her to be effective. It's not a card where you have to just massively, you know, restructure your deck to incorporate her. She's not a card that, you know, you ever even have to draw to get any use of. And if you never see her in a duel, it really just, you know, I guess nothing has really been affected. So I kind of think that she is a hidden treasure, mainly because of circumstances. You just don't have to run more than 1 to really get a lot of value out of her, and just locking your opponent out of the Exceed, you know, the Exceed archetype, or excuse me, the Exceed mechanic for a turn. I mean, that could just be brutal for so many of the meta decks in the game. Now, as for the price of her, this is a little harder to justify. A lot of it has to do with the fact that she's just a really old card that never got reprinted, but damn guys, you would like to think for a tech option that you wouldn't have to spend about $14. Actually, sorry, I forgot that there's a dollar tax on here. So yeah, she's basically pushing about $15. I can't really advocate the price. I think that for the price, you can probably find something that can be just as decent, but overall, the entire concept of running Elfuria in your main at Magic Spectres at just 1 copy seems very fundamentally solid. So you guys let me know, do you guys think that this card is a trash or treasure? I think at 1 copy in the main deck, I think she's perfectly fine. I could see you possibly side decking a copy if you ran into decks like Paleozoic, or if you ran into a deck like Burning Abyss where you just know that she's going to be the nuts. You can just activate her turn 1. You reveal like, I don't know, a Magic Spectre Fox, and then Paleozoics just they'll never get the Tree Toad. They'll never get to any of their important Exceeds. Same thing can be said with a deck like PK Fire. You just reveal it turn 1, and I mean that deck really just can't do anything. They just have to like summon a Terratop and just pretty much just do nothing. So let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you have not already.